Welcome back. Today we're going to do a quick few words on the KZ S1 pairs. So this on the left is the S1D. This is the dynamic driver version. Both these guys came from the Inu Audio Store on Amazon, so thank you to them. And right now, if you go check it out, the D version is $32.99, and then there's a $3 coupon that you can use. The S1 is the regular hybrid version with a dynamic driver and a BA, and it is $35.99 on Amazon, and there is a $2 coupon as well. So this guy is $30 even, and this guy is $33. So that's the story on those guys right now on Amazon. So these guys sort of have a Goldilocks problem, in my opinion. So if I told you that I have one IEM with a dynamic driver and one is a hybrid and asked you, what are the potential problems, you can probably pick out, what's going to be the difference between the two without really listening to it or thinking about it too much. So dynamic driver version, too bassy, a little too dark. Some people say it gets a bit shouty, but the treble definitely has a little bit of an unpleasantness when you're pushing it kind of hard. And so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise in a dynamic driver where it's really focused on the low end. And these guys both have this almost TWS tuning. It's more, I would say it's more like a W. The vocals are always kind of pushed forward. So it works pretty well for podcasts or movies where where you just want to listen to dialogue and not have to worry about bouncing the volume up and down. And that kind of works well in those settings. On a dynamic driver for music, I think it really kind of affected their upper mids and treble. It definitely goes a bit shouty. So I don't think that should be a super surprise and kind of a $20 TWS that it's not going to handle all that well. So on the other hand, you've got the BA, the DD and the BA hybrid, and you're like, oh, okay, well, they took this guy and basically just improved the upper mids and treble by adding a BA. Split it between the two, and the two together work better than the single one. So that's the theory. What happened in reality is they really took the bass down a lot on the S1, and I don't really know why. So you end up with this Goldilocks of too much bass, not enough bass. The treble is rolled off and sort of non-existent on the very high end. Like some of the high-end strings just kind of simply disappear. And then on this side, all of your strings are there, all the treble is there. It's just a little sharp. It's not, shouty kind of a little bit. It's just sharp. The vocals don't have sort of the warmth and smooth that you would associate with a dynamic driver. They get a bit sharp is what I would call it. Some of the female voices, you're just kind of thinking, man, I just wish this was a little smoother, a little warmer, to be a little more pleasant to listen to. The new Lady Gaga Chromatica CD came out. And her voice just comes across really sharp on this. And those little, not intro bits, but those little chromatica bits, which are just kind of strings, that's where you really notice the difference between the two. And this one has a quite rolled off early treble. And this guy, here's all of your strings. It just sounds a bit sharp and not as smooth as it should. So those were kind of the two ends of the spectrum, and it's kind of odd why if they had just bumped the bass up on this guy, it probably would have been a better seller than the dynamic driver alone because of the treble on this. So instead you end up with two products that probably as TWS, they're better than music. I would say that if you're just into podcasts or gaming or even movies, I think these guys are tuned better than pure music because the music tuning, you're at two ends, and what you really need is maybe something like this new guy. So their new one is now the Z1, and I think there's a couple reviews out there. Mine is not in the mail yet, but should be getting this one soon as well. So maybe this one split the difference. Hard to say until it seems to me that KZ has changed the tuning on every TWS pair that they've done, or not pair, but every TWS generation. They've seemed to change it quite a bit, and they haven't really stuck to, we're going to keep refining this one design and make it better and better. They seem to, it feels like they start over each time. So we'll have to see how this one pans out. But yeah, that's just a few words. If I had to recommend which, of the S1 or the S1D, which one you should get, it probably does come down to the bass. Do you really like a lot of thumpy sub bass? Then you're gonna have to stick with the S1D. This guy, is probably gonna fit you better if you don't really care about sub bass at all, or you're into really gaming or podcasts, something that's really centered on the mids, and you still want the treble to be present. That kind of comes across more on the S1, but that's kind of a rough order of magnitude. Do you like bass? Yes or no? That shouldn't really determine which one you get. But so as far as these two, that's about as much as you get. And it's just some odd design. Why are these slightly different looking? If you look on the back, they're actually this S1D is USB-C and this one is micro USB. Why the boxes, look like they're from two different generations. So I don't know. I don't know if KZ was tossing this out there because they had the design done and said, let's just ship it and we'll wait for the Z1. Or this was all intentional and there was a design goal in mind, but don't know. So for now, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.